Okay, right. As promised, here is the follow-up video to the original DNT basket slash active container. So this will be this step-by-step guide pardon me, on how to go about making one of these. So I'll try and do this as quick and concise as possible. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on. I can't see that well actually, but anyway, here we go. So first thing you need is you've got your Vandy Vape mesh wire. This is, I use the SS316L. That's what I've ever used. Now there's other videos showing how to make a little platform thing to go on the RDA. To make one of those, you normally have about 3 centimeters. You need about 3 centimeters of mesh. To do the basket, you need more like about between 4.5 and 5. So if we go for about, yeah, that's probably about 45 mil, something like that. About 45 mil. Right. What we want to do is, the first thing we need to do is we need to cut a strip, a section here, like so. And it wants to be about 3, no, a bit more than that, sorry, about 4 mil, about 4 mil in. Okay. Can't actually see very well there. Okay, right. Actually cut it a little bit short, actually, smaller than that, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now, the next thing we want to do is you want to mirror that cut on this side, and we want to make sure that the little temporary tails that are left, where they stop, is the same width as the clamp section on the RDA. So if we cut that down there, if we offer that up to the RDA, we can see if that cut section is approximately where the feet are, and that's about right. Okay, so I should have said at the beginning, the tools to have to hand are obviously the little RDA screwdriver, some pointed tweezers, and some flat nose tweezers, and also some scissors that are good enough to cut through the mesh. That's all you need. Right, 1 second. Excuse me. Okay. Right, from here, and take the mesh. We now want to make another cut similar to what we've made over here down this side, but the key point of this is that the bit that's left in the middle, will fit into the where the clamps are, in much the same way as a normal making a normal sort of tray, gauze type thing. So if we know where that cut is, we can see where to make that next cut. That's over there. Okay. Now it's important to make sure that where that cut is, where I've just made that cut, they finish as close to as possible the same depth cut. Okay, you see that, and then we want to repeat that on the other side. Okay, so you should end up with something like that. Now I'm going to just make sure that those cuts are the right depth, which they look pretty good. What we can do is we can offer that up to see if that gap between those cuts is about the same as the gap between the feet on there, and it's pretty close. So that'll do for there. I'll just move that a second. Right. Hold on 1 second. Right. Okay. Now, from here, what you have to do is you take we need to make the feet of the basket in much the same way as you would on making it just with a normal level platform, if you like. So if you've ever practiced doing that before, you'll be alright with that. But basically you need to bend this about 6 mil from where that line is. Okay. Once you've got that, okay, and you want to actually crunch that down into position. Get that down there. Then you should have a little bit left over there, and that you bend down into the foot. Well, that makes the foot. You see? That bit there will sit in there. Okay, so done that. Then you need to repeat that on the same side. Oh, sorry, on the same side. Repeat that on the other side. And you need to make sure that the gap between those 2 feet is consistent with the gap on the clamps. Right. Oops. a little bit fiddly. That's it. Okay. Now we need to make that other foot. I can already see we can have a little bit of a problem here. I think the actual gap is potentially too wide for the RDA, for the feet. But it might not be. It's possible. Let's offer it up and have a look, shall we? I think we'll be all right. Okay, so if we know that's going to be about right, we've got this sort of thing here with the temporary tails hanging off, poking out. Get the feet into position on the clamp. Once one's on there, get the other one. Oh, nuts. I'm done without that. Get that back in there. Okay. Yeah, this is potentially a bit a problem I saw earlier. I think it's potentially too long. The base is a little bit too long. We'll find out in a minute. Actually, I think it might be alright. Okay. Right. Just pause 1 second. Right. Okay. Right, from here, we need to flatten this down a little bit because it was cut a little bit too big. Just flatten that down a little bit there. Okay, next thing is we've got to make these tails into the sides of the basket. Now, obviously, over time when you practice this, you can make these as deep as you want. You know, you can even cut these at different angles and make the basket wider, but it's a bit more difficult to manipulate the mesh into place, but that's for another video. Okay, so we just take this up and fold it up like that. So that's folding that up into position. And you want to get that pretty much so that's right angles there. There's that right angle. Right. From there, we literally get. I'll tell you what. Sometimes we use these bits depending on how the cut is, but I'm thinking on this time round it's unlikely. So let's snip those off because they're thin. They're thin sides. They're not going to be much good for anything. So let's clip those off. Get those out of the way. We're still left with a little bit of overhang there, and we'll bend that up into position. So that's now looking like that. Okay, because that can help. You can use that bit to help support the sides. 1 second. Okay, pardon me. So once we've got tails in that position, we literally just need to bend them round to create the sides, form the sides of the basket. Now, you know, there's various techniques, ways of doing it, but you really need to try and make sure that that corner has got a nice tight right angled corner to it. And so with the tweezers, just give that a good bend around, bend that right on there. Now bring that round, and where that meets the little upstand there, you can use that upstand to contain the other side of that when you fold it round. So that will actually literally hold it in place. Once you know, you can sort of see it coming together, and you can put another kink in this corner, and that will hold it fast. So I'll just do that quickly. Push that in. Okay, and then you need to try and make sure that this sort of main side, if you like, with the two tails coming off, is kept nicely perpendicular, because if it's sort of leaning out, the tails will ride up and you won't be able to create the side of the basket. So I'm just going to even this up a little bit. Okay. Basically, you just got to continue to shape this as you work with it as you go. Once you've sort of got to this stage, it will just sort of fall into place. You'll know what you've got to do to complete it. The thing is, every time you do one of these, you know, they turn out slightly different every single time. But the key point is, once you've made one, it actually makes loading and containing the spice so simple and effective. It stops any spillage. Now, once you've actually got this thing in position, there's nothing to hold it in its place. It just stays there of its own accord. Pardon me, because the metal is, you know, you've bent it to fit, and it will just stay in that place. And of course, once you've fired up some spice in it, the sort of sticky goo will help hold it together. Right. We're not far off there. 1 second. Alright, so that is basically, that's finished. What we've got on that this time around is, well, we ended up with quite a deep basket on this one. So if you cut these, look, when you cut the tails, if they're cut, you know, not quite so deep, you end up with a shallower basket around here, potentially a bit wider as well. But you can sort of make it up as you go, really, and then that will contain your spice when you put it in. Anyway, I hope that's helped a little bit. Yeah, let us know how you get on when you make your own, and if you got any, I don't know, modifications that you make to your own one, post them up, video and post them up. You know, any improvements on this, most welcome. All right, peace out.